And also, one of the underlying factors of why financial markets are what they are is complete disclosure of information. They rely on companies giving them full information about whatever is happening in their companies. You cannot be a listed entity and you lie or you hide very critical material information. If you do that, then you contravene their regulations and they can take steps. Do our experiment with that market. It will have been my desire to do it with our local market, our Kenyan Premier League. But guys, I don't even know whether a website exists. You're going to have quite a ride. Remember, this is an army of smart people, and you are one of them. Welcome to the family, and see you. So guys, welcome to my first project. My first project is going to be one very interesting project because it's going to bring together two very different and dynamic set of people. Some of whom are common, some of whom will appear in both worlds. But majorly, I want to bring two very different dynamics together. I want to take advantage of data, like I've told you, public data. And I want to use that public data to educate people in a very interesting kind of way. And this is my first project. I have a goal to try and take advantage of the knowledge we have and the information we have of a financial market. For those who don't know what the financial markets are, don't worry. This is the right channel for you. Just subscribe. I'm going to take you guys through step by step for you to be able to understand. So I want to take the experience and the information we have in the financial markets and to take advantage of some of the processes that are used to determine trend, to determine the eventual performance of a specific company or eventual performance of a specific stock or a security. I want to go into the financial markets and to look at the variables that they use. I want to go look at the parameters that they use to determine trends. And then I want to borrow that knowledge and that information. And I want to go and utilize that information into another space and to see how best I can creatively use that information to build up a model for predicting the outcome of a football season. That is the first project that we are going to do, guys. Now, let me break it down in simple terms. So, guys, I know not so many people understand how financial markets operate. Now, and those who know don't have the time to educate the rest. They just make moves, make money, advise those who have money, and majority of the population just hear financial markets and they really don't know what those things are. And I'm just being very honest. Even some of the people who are in the office spaces, most of them hear financial markets, but they don't really know what it means. And it is not, we are not blaming ourselves, we are not blaming anyone. It's just life and that is how it is. But we want to change that narrative. We want to change that conversation. We want to now move like people who have access to information. We want to move like people who have access to data. So what I want to do is this is financial markets basically is a place where people trade money. Yeah. In the economy, there are people who have money, there are people who don't have money. Yeah. Now, these people who have money, some of them are not interested in the day-to-day investments of a business. Some of them don't really see the need to to go out and try to do the hard part. Okay, not the hard part, but the routine part of running a business. Yeah. And most of the time, the money that they have is extra money. They already have something that they are doing full time, but they have this extra money that they have, and they don't know what to do with this money. Okay, some of them know what they want to do with this money, but they are looking for places where they can put that money and earn more money. Now, in the same economy that we are in, there are people in this economy who want that money. People who have ideas, people who have land, people who have skills. They want this money so that they can use this money as an enabler to take advantage of what they have. People who have land, they go and look for money so that they can build real estate. They can build buildings for commercial purposes or for housing and renting. People who have a skill set. You have a skill set, but you are the only thing you're lacking is the capital to kickstart that journey to implement exactly what you have been given by God. Yeah, but you don't know where to get the money. We have companies. Yeah, companies that have great ideas. We have individuals who are called entrepreneurs who have great ideas, but they know that for them to fully achieve what they want to do with their ideas, they have to at least get some money for them to just kickstart that process. Maybe the idea needs a lot of financial investments. But you all know how hard it is to convince someone to give you money. Even if it was me and I have money, I wouldn't really give my money very easily unless I am convinced of your idea. Yeah. Now, because of that need in the society, there had to be created a place where these two people meet. A place where the people who have money and they're looking for opportunities to put their money and get returns, and the people who are looking for money so that they can go create more money and create wealth. Yeah, there had to be a place where these people will meet, and the place that the buyers, the investors, and the borrowers meet is where now we are calling the financial markets. They are exchanging money. I am giving you this money, but you shall pay it back to me at a specific interest rate. Yeah. And then there is now a prefect in the middle who now sees how these transactions are happening so that they can guarantee that the transactions are safe and that both parties will be okay, that the transactions they have done has been monitored and the details have been taken, and they don't need to worry. Investors don't need to worry that whoever they have given their money are cons. They don't need to worry that the business they have given their money doesn't actually really exist. So there has to be a prefect in the middle who now sees how that market operates. Yeah. So the financial market is basically that. It's a place where people who have money give their money to people who need the money to go do business, after which those people pay them back. Now, the most important thing that we are going to utilize is this, to understand. Over time, in the financial markets, there are there are professionals, there are intermediaries who have studied the operations of the financial markets. And they have been able to determine things called trends. They have been able to determine things called forecasting. They are able to forecast how specific companies will perform. Now, I'll take you through the details of the financial markets. I'm just giving you an overview for now. Now, these people who have really studied the financial markets and they have the basics at their fingertips, and they have also the experience of financial markets, they are able to look at how the financial markets are operating and advise investors accordingly. They can also advise the borrowers accordingly. Yeah. Now, the question is, these people who have experience and the skill set and the knowledge to be able to give advice on the financial markets, what do they use? A lot of the things that they use is data. They rely on historical performance of these companies. They rely on data from governments. Yeah, they rely on information from the government, like now things like inflation, things like employment, things like the monetary policy, things like the fiscal policies. They take all these small little variables. They even go and look into the company itself, and they look at the nature of the management of the company. They look at the competitive nature of the industry. They look at the technological advancement of specific companies, and they're able to put together all these variables in such a way that they can determine that based on how I understand the Kenyan market, based on how I understand the government of Kenya and the corporates in the Kenyan economy and the competition, this is how potentially this company is going to be in the next 5 years. This is how the Kenyan economy is going to be in the next 5 years. Ceteris paribus. Every other thing remaining constant, because we understand in our world today there are so many other factors. Okay, not necessarily in the first world countries, but in the third world countries, there are so many other factors outside our control that can affect a market, and we'll even make a forecasting or a prediction not to be as accurate as it will have been before. Now, these people, like I said, they rely on those kind of variables. And in those kind of variables, they are able to determine the end result of the market, maybe for the next 1 year, the next 3 years, the next 5 years. You never know. Even some can do for the 10 years. That is called long-term forecasting. Now, let me bring you back home, kidogo. Don't you think then that with the same approach being used in the financial markets, there are so many other markets around that you can apply the same principle to try and determine how that market will move? Don't you think so? I personally believe so, and that is why I'm doing this as my first project. Yeah? And I have sat down and thought, in all the other markets that exist in my environment, in my surrounding, which market do I think has some very close similarities? Okay, they are not very similar, but a market is a market. The characteristics of a market are the same. There is a buyer, there is a seller, there is a regulator or someone who basically monitors, and then there are variables that determine. So the parameters of a market are the same. It might be different in terms of the context of the market itself, but the parameters are the same. Now, because I spend a lot of time like every other person in this thing called football, I am an Arsenal fan. We are smart people, Arsenal fans. But this channel welcomes everyone because we shall gain from it, all of us. Yeah? And we are winning this season. So, because of how I understand football and because of how I have observed football, I have an element of me believes that football is a market. It is actually a market. That is why it's called a $1 billion industry. Yeah, there is too many markets in there, and I have selected one market which is very dear to all of us. The market I have selected is the English Premier League. Now, I want to treat the English Premier League as a market, and I want to mirror it to the financial markets. And I want to almost use the same variables, not variables, but the same parameters that are used to determine the success of companies in the financial markets. And I want to impose that approach to the English Premier League so that I see whether I am able to determine the result of the 2023-2024 season. Can I be able to accurately determine the results of the English Premier League 2023-2024 from number 1 to number 20? Because there are 20 teams. Is it possible? Guys, is it possible? Is someone already getting excited? Or is it looking like too big of a dream for it to come true? Yeah, I know some people have not even comprehended what I'm trying to do yet. But don't worry. This is going to be a step-by-step process. Football lovers, you shall play a significant role. People who have a knowledge in the financial markets, you are going to give us insights on how we are going to do this. Now, let me give you an example. If you go into the financial markets, these people look at the variables I've told you. They look at so many factors to determine the future of that company. When you come to football, footballers are already doing that. The football stakeholders are already doing that. Betting companies are already predicting. They are able to predict because they have the necessary tools, they have the necessary brains to be able to do that. That is why they will take a position and they hope that when you bet with their odds, you lose. Yeah, well, those numbers don't just appear. It is people who sit behind the scenes and they come up, they analyze and determine those odds. Now, I am making a significant assumption here, and I hope that assumption will not come back to bite me. I am making an assumption that betting companies and all these people who predict matches in the Premier League, they rely on the major statistics that are taken. In football, the main statistics that is taken in football, I can give you an example. I had written them down. We have things like goals, assists, passes, clean sheets, possessions, losses, wins, all those kind. Those are known statistics. Like if you were to pick a random football fan, they will tell you that those are like very normal stats that are taken. And I'm believing that betting companies have statistical tools, statistical models that they use to determine the potential outcome of a specific game. Now, so someone might tell me, but it is already being done. There is nothing unique or different that you're doing. But I'll challenge them like this. Everything that is happening in the world right now has already been done. Do not think that there's anything new that is being created. We are just becoming innovative and creative in things that were discovered very long time ago. And if you ever want not to progress in life is to say that something was already done, because perspective is different. Your doing might change the world forever because you look at it from a very different perspective. So I dare to take this project for this reason. Number one, a lot of betting companies or a lot of people who predict football rely on readily available variables. Goals, assists, passes, clean sheets, all those kind of things. And there are not so many. There are like maybe 6, 7 that they're using. And then they will subject them to so many predictive models that they have, which are majorly softwares. They have all these tools that they use. I don't know. I don't know those things. But with the time we are going to know, because we are diving deep. We are going deep with this thing. Yeah. So we are going to know all the tricks that some of these betting companies use. Now, how do I intend to be different from them? This is the final punch. This is the final punch that I'm going to use to just make sure that this project actually succeeds. I have a feeling, I am convinced that for a team to win a league like the English Premier League, there are so many other things that team, characteristics that the team has to possess for it to win, and the things that we can observe or we can analyze and get, and we can use those things to determine the success of the team. Do you really think that, for example, Manchester City won the league last season because of the obvious stats that we are? Of course, it's because of those obvious stats. But what about those characteristics that people don't know? What if there is a unique characteristic like maybe average height? Maybe if we look back 6 years ago, the last 6 seasons, then we realize all the teams that have won the league in the last 6 seasons actually have an average height of 5'9". Is it sensible for us to conclude that a 5'9" height is the standard for winning the league? If maybe we look 10 years ago from maybe 2010 to date, that the team that has won the league has actually won the league. There is no team that has won the league in the last 12 years with less than average weight of the team being 70 kilograms. Don't you think that's a good starting point to determine how many teams are already not going to win the league? Okay. If we go even deeper and find other simple things, like for example, how long were how many players were injury prone in the teams that have won the league? Do they average like 2, 3, 4, 5? So if all the teams that have won the league in the last 10 years have actually averaged 4 injuries per season, And then in the current season, we have teams that already in the first half of the season will probably be having 6-7 injuries. Don't you think it makes sense for us to already eliminate those teams from winning the league? Because the statistics are telling us something different. Now, that is the first part and the most important part. We are going to introduce more variables than the ones that are being monitored by some of these betting firms, by some of these prediction models. We are going to look for those things. We want to try. I am creating a model that will have variables not less than 20. So guys, you're going to be part of this process, because if I do it alone, it will be mine. I don't want it to be mine alone. I want it to, because I know some people know football more than me. Some people there are so many people who understand the financial sector more than me, than in significantly. I want to create a community of people who are going to build a model that is going to be used to determine the season, how it will end. And once we predict it, we sit and wait and see how accurate we shall be. If we are accurate even at the first trial, and we are accurate with between maybe even 60 or 70%, that's a good starting point. I will not even be ashamed. In fact, I'll say now, let's go again in the year 2024, 2025. We refine it until we reach a point that our model will give us a 90 to 95% accuracy. And who knows what we can do with that kind. Can you imagine what we can do with that kind of a model? Can you imagine we come up with that model and it succeeds and we get 90 to 95% accuracy? It means we will start moving very differently. It means even our boys and our girls who do betting will not lose the money they are losing, because they only need to come to us and we tell them, when you put your money there, you will lose. Yeah, we tell them, come join the army of smart people. We start moving differently, because we don't bet, we don't gamble, we just make smart moves. So we'll invite them over and they'll come and they'll use this model to just make very, very smart moves. So in a nutshell, what am I trying to do, guys? Remember, the goal of this channel is to educate the masses, to inform people, and to just let people know their world better through taking advantage of data that is available. The data that I'm talking about is very much available. If you go to the website for the Fantasy League, the English Premier League, some of these teams in their own websites, they have all this information. But no one has the time or the capacity to, not so many people have the time and the capacity to sit down and do, because it's a lot of work and it requires a lot of brain power. Brain power, which I have sacrificed mine. Yeah. I am putting my brain power on the line to achieve this first objective. It will take us long because it's a season long. So the whole of 2023, 2024, this is our number one project. A lot of the content that I'll put out, I might put out some small ones here and there, but we are going to focus on this because, number one, it is going to take a lot out of me. This might just be the biggest mental, intellectual undertaking that I've ever undertaken in my entire life, and I am warmed up for it. I am so much looking forward to it. And I know football fans will love it. And I also know football fans who are financial markets enthusiasts will love it. Can you imagine the interaction of those two? Yeah. Now, the most important element of the financial markets is this. It will give me the parameters that have already been proven. The methods of analyzing data that have already been proven in determining trends is what I am borrowing from the financial markets. And I'm going to use it to the football market, in this case, the English Premier League. I don't know whether that concept has landed. And if it has not landed, guys, don't worry. We have just started. This channel, your mind will be pushed to the limit. And I just want you to subscribe. Subscribe because I want us to take it step by step. Every step of this process, I want you to be there. I want that every weekend, after a weekend where the matches have already happened, we come back and sit down and ask ourselves, did we get the variables right? Are there some specific things that we got that we need to change? I need you guys to be part of that process. The guys in the financial markets, the guys who have an understanding of the financial markets, who have the experience and who can give us, we want you to help us to align our model because you guys know your stuff. You know your stuff and you will really, really guide us very well. So guys, subscribe because if this model, if and when, because I know it will work, When this model works, the first 1,000 subscribers who will have subscribed to this channel, I think I will give them access to the site that we will be posting our position. Yeah, they will have full access on the information. So if there are people who bet, they can even take advantage of that information. You don't know what it can become, but I can assure you, anyone who has already internalized what we are trying to do, you know this is going to be huge. You know. And I want you to invite people. Invite football lovers. Invite your colleagues, because this is a place for smart people. It is not a place for people who don't enjoy mental things. So invite your colleagues. Invite your football lovers. All Arsenal fans, you have to support your boy. Yeah, all Arsenal fans, you just have to support your boy. You don't have a choice. Yeah, I cannot be an Arsenal fan and then you just watch my channel and you move. No. All the other guys, all the other football lovers, this is for us. This is for us. And can you imagine if eventually a story comes out that Kenyans have actually developed a model that can actually predict the end of the Premier League season 95% accurately? That means that we determined who is going to be number 1, we determined who is going to be number 2, we determined who is going to number 3, all the way to number 20, even before the season ended. Now, don't get me wrong. Already, even people who watch football can do that. Yeah? If you ask some passionate football fans here, they'll give you their predictions. And sometimes they'll get it right, sometimes they'll not get it right. The only difference is it's not a model. People who understand models, you know what I mean. Theirs is just, it's instinctively, they get it from internal perspectives, which then you cannot use it season in, season out. You might get it right this season, you might get it wrong the next season, and everyone has their perspective. Even me, I can predict the season right now, and I'll get it maybe 70% accurately. But when a model gives you an accuracy of 70, 80%, you can be sure that if I just work on it again next year, and then another year, and then another year, a time might come when we can actually predict. Yeah. But if it happens that we don't get the kind of outcome that we are looking for, can you imagine how interesting that process will have been? We'll look for another project. We'll look for another market. Maybe we'll go into a market like which one? Maybe you guys in the comment section, I want you guys to just share initially, because this is the first video. Just share your ideas now that you understand what I'm trying to do. Please put it out there. Give me ideas. Tell me whether you think that idea is great, whether you think there are other markets which are better. I just believe the English Premier League is better because anytime you're building a model, you need information. And also, one of the underlying factors of why financial markets are what they are is complete disclosure of information. They rely on companies giving them full information about whatever is happening in their companies. You cannot be a listed entity and you lie or you hide very critical material information. If you do that, then you contravene their regulations, and they can take steps to even suspend you from the financial markets. Yeah. The same thing with the English Premier League. The English Premier League in football terms is the epitome. And so they have the data, complete data for a very long time. You can look backwards and you'll have all this information. Number 2, it's well regulated. I'm tempted to believe that the person who actually wins the league deserves it. Leave alone the few irregularities of the officiating guys, but I still believe there is a very good level of trust. You can look at that league and say it is well run, it is well regulated, and it is a market that we can use as a case study, and we can just do our experiment with that market. It will have been my desire to do it with our local market, our Kenyan Premier League. But guys, I don't even know whether a website exists. I don't. That is why I have gone straight to the English Premier League. Of course, and also because of the viewership. There are so many people watching the English Premier League. Our model will get more attention if we involve the league that has the attention. So that is what I'm trying to do, guys. That is my first project. I'm excited about it. Just subscribe, invite your friends, invite your mates, give me your views, tell me what you think about that. And when the time comes, we shall sit back. In fact, our first prediction will be the half season. I think that will be by December. Before they resume in January, we should already be having a prediction for how the half of the season will have ended. So just to close it up, how do I intend to do this? Number one, I will be releasing episodes that will bring down the idea so that people can understand. I will, of course, educate people on what the financial markets are and how they operate. Remember, it's an educative platform. This is not a betting platform. It's an educative platform. So I will have an episode where I'll just break down the workings of the financial markets, the companies that are there, guys to understand. I will have another episode where I'll break down the English Premier League, because not everyone watches the English Premier League. So for the sake of those people who are passionate financial market enthusiasts, but they don't watch the game, I will introduce them to the game. And then I'll have a final episode where I will match the variables. I will match the idea between the two. And then finally, I will produce the structure of the model. And when I produce the structure of the model, I am hoping we shall now have understood the idea and the plane will have landed. And the only thing is now is for us to move. It will be for us to move and to start predicting. There will be some short sessions after a weekend, because the English Premier League has games almost every weekend. And we need to be more observant on what is happening. What other variables are we not picking that we should have picked and included in our model? In another world, this is a master's project. This is a project that is done probably in school by master's students. I don't have masters myself, but let me see how far I can take this, and it's going to be successful by your help, by your full attention and involvement. Thank you so much, guys. I hope the idea is home, but if it is not, just subscribe and wait for the next episode where I'll start now breaking down the idea into pieces, and I'm sure you're going to have quite a ride. Remember, this is an army of smart people and you are one of them. Welcome to the family, and see you.